Hello and welcome back to Aetheral Space 5.19, the other half. We are back. Hello, Dan.
Yes. And I don't want to do recap, but can I get a very quick reminder of what happened last time? Bullet points.
So recap. Okay, so Ruth acted as a distraction while they escaped. So Ruth's status is unknown at the moment. And
Right. They were at the camp. They're running away. The guys were surrounding them. There was like the guy that was like a head. I remember now.
Then more happened. That Skipper has woken up, so they're all coming up with a plan to break free of this mountain where they've sort of been fenced in. And Skipper was about to reveal why he kidnapped Dragan, which is the more important part, rather than the head.
Oh shit! You're right. I forgot about that. Oh, sorry, I'm all stuffed up. All right. Oh god, come on. This is a chapter I need to be not stuffed up for. Oh wait, never mind. It's going back to Ruth. Rip. Ruth couldn't feel... Oh, God, hang on. Why does this always happen the second I sit down? I was fine all day. What the hell is going on?
This guy
Tanhony,
hates
this is insanity.
space.
No, I'm allergic to it, I guess. Hang on, I'll be right back.
His body can't handle it. Hey guys, what's going on? I've been playing some of the new Deltarune today. It's quite fun. It's quite charming. All the... I think I'm approaching the end of it. I really like the new character. I always enjoyed the Deltarune Undertale humour style.
Come on, Curtis.
So
Okay. So I've noticed real quick, just at a glance, there's a word Edoy in here. Ruth Edoy wondered, what's Edoy?
idly.
Okay. Ruth couldn't feel her legs. After hours of fighting and running, she had finally found a moment's shelter, the crevice between the roots of a great tree where she could squeeze in and be out of sight. Occasionally, she felt cold water drip against her head, stray raindrops managing to penetrate the barrier of leaves and branches above. So this is kind of like a forest chase scene. The skeletal set covering her body flickered in and out of existence, each time accompanied by a red spark. Dispelling her armor entirely would make it easier to hide, but would leave her defenseless if someone did find her. Ruth wouldn't allow herself to be defenseless. She adjusted her sitting position slightly, ignoring the ache of protest from her body. She was on her last legs, she understood that. None of the guardian entities had managed to land a hit on her during this drawn-out encounter, but it was only a matter of time now. The roach could only dodge the boot for so long, after all. Ruth idly wondered if the others had made it back to the rebel base safely. There was no guarantee of it. Some of the entities could have elected to pursue them instead, but in her gut she had the distinct feeling that they were safe and sound. She had that at least. She hadn't fucked that up. Ruth put a finger to her lips.
No, Robin.
What?
No, Ruth didn't do that shit. Robin put a finger to her lips.
Oh, Robin put a finger to her lips. Sorry. I suppose I must have thought you were a good person? Shut up, Ruth muttered, dream and reality mixing together as exhaustion made itself truly known. You're dead. I'm no good. And there you go, Skipper said, cheeky grin on his face. Proof there's more to you than you think. You shut up, too. You're probably dead as well, Ruth said weakly, her tone like a crossbreed between a chuckle and a sob. I fucked it up. I fucked it all up. Rupert Grave glared down at her. In her imagination, he was perpetually taller than her, a giant from the perspective of a child. You owe everything you have to us, and you're not repaying in kind. Shut up! Ruth screamed, standing up to her full height, her claws fully re-establishing themselves into reality as she pointed them at the hallucination. There was no reply. Of course there wasn't. This had never actually happened. There was no memory for her exhaustion to draw upon. The figure simply faded from consciousness. You might want to change crossbreed to cross.
Why?
Crossbreed just sounds kind of weird. It's like two animals, not like two things.
To
reveal that woman, Greena standing behind it, eyes cautious as she observed Ruth through the opening in the roots of the tree. Ruth didn't miss a second. Exhaustion was thrown to the side as her body moved automatically, reaching her enemy in a single breath and slamming the woman against the tree with one hand. The other pulled back to run her through on the claws. Where are the rest? Ruth growled, holding Greena tight by the collar. Your friends! Do they know I'm here? A croaking sound emerged from Greena's throat, and when she spoke it was obviously with great exertion. Not friends, she rasped, as if she wasn't used to speaking out loud. Enemies, like you. The same. Ruth narrowed her eyes. What do you mean? I don't get you. Rena suppressed a coughing fit as she went on. Ally! I'm ally! Friend! You weren't being very friendly when you tried to set me on fire, Ruth scoffed. Had to look good. I'm spy. Had to know you strong. Greena's breath heaved as the words came out, and Ruth could have almost sworn she saw a sliver of blood running down from one side of the woman's mouth. Ruth's grip tightened on Greena's collar. Lily Albrecht didn't tell me anything about a spy in the camp. Honestly, I think you're bullshitting me, trying to buy time. The woman shook her head rapidly, bandana flopping from side to side as she did so. I'm not, she whispered frantically. I'm not! Can't exactly take your word for it. Why shouldn't I kill you right now? Robin put a finger to her lips. I suppose I must have thought you were a good person. Not spy for Albrecht, Greena rasped, the edges of her eyes looking bloodshot. Spy for Greene! Greene! No clue who that is. Greena lifted her arm, the sudden movement almost causing Ruth to finish her on reflex alone, and thumped her fist against her own chest. We, she said insistently. We are Greene, my people. Enemy call us forest folk. We hate them. Regulators. Like you. Ally. Even with the obvious difficulty the woman had speaking, her tone seemed genuine. Ruth felt her grip loosen, just slightly, and was sure that moment of weakness would be met with a crossbow bolt in the chest. She'd messed up for the last time. But no finishing blow came. Instead, Greena simply fell to her knees, massaging her throat and hacking up blood on the ground. Ruth gave her a moment to recover. She wasn't a monster, before fixing her with a glare once again. If you're telling the truth, then I'll trust you, she said. But why should I believe you're telling the truth? Boom, boom, boom. The sound of the massive guardian entity was distant, but growing closer by the minute. Ruth looked back over her shoulder, watching as the tree line on the horizon shook. What is that? She muttered. All the other entities seemed to have given up, but this one refused to break off the pursuit. When she looked back at Greena, the woman was shrugging, a troubled expression on her face. Even she didn't know then? No, she couldn't get distracted. You didn't answer my question, Ruth growled, flexing her claws. Why should I believe you're telling the truth? Greena didn't open her mouth again. Instead, she just pulled her bandana up, but the message in her eyes was clear. You come with me, you live, they said. You stay here, you die. Fair enough. Ruth couldn't exactly argue with that. As Skipper spoke, he lay back on the rock, staring up at the stone roof of the cavern as if it were a starry sky. Don't know if you guys know this, he said after a moment of hesitation, but I'm not exactly a #1 fan of the supremacy. Dragon raised an eyebrow. The time you assaulted one of their ships, with me in it, sort of gave me a clue. Plus the time they cost you an arm and locked you up in a cell. Nah, Skipper waved a lazy hand. This ain't a recent thing. Remember back on Dalton? I told you there was someone that I needed to kill, no matter what. I didn't tell you who that person was, though. Guess that's where the other half of things start. He took a deep breath, closing his eyes, and for a moment it seemed as if he wasn't going to continue at all. It took Dragon a second to realize he didn't dare to breathe either. Even Bruno was leaning in slightly, curiosity evident in his gaze. No one knew what the fuck Skipper was doing? They were just following him? Come on, Bruno
they were just having
know?
a good time.
Skipper spoke. I didn't tell you their name. They're the kind of person who you're only allowed to name once they're dead. You get me? Two cold gears clicked in Dragon's stomach. Skipper opened his eyes again. That person is the Supreme, he said calmly. Called it. Dragon felt the blood rush out of his face, leaving a noticeable chill that clawed at his skin. He bit his lip and clenched his hands in the fists with such tension that he almost drew blood in both places. A shaky gulp slithered down his throat. What Skipper just said was insanity, sheer insanity, like a child saying he was going to shoot down the sun. You're crazy, Dragon breathed. It can't be done. Skipper clicked his tongue. Everyone always says that, he said, with more annoyance than Dragon had ever heard in his voice. Suddenly he sat up, and Dragon found himself stepping backwards, as if this man's delusion was something contagious. Tell me why, Dragon, Skipper said seriously, eyes locked on him. Tell me why it can't be done. Here's your words, yeah? Dragon took another step back. You can't! That's the point! The Supreme is the strongest individual there is. That's the point of the damn title. And he's protected by the 4 other strongest individuals at all times. You wouldn't even make it to the front door. He'd always considered himself above the supremacist dream that ran like an undercurrent through society. The notion of a fair and impartial meritocracy that encouraged exception. But there was a difference between propaganda and reality. The Supreme had torn down enemy armies all by himself. His contenders had written similar legends in blood. Those people were immutable, like the stars or the sky. They wouldn't be going away anytime soon. They weren't the kind of people you killed. They were the kind of people you stayed out of sight of. I'm going to pass it off to you.
Bruno crossed his arms, and as Dragon glanced over, he could see the other boy's mostly hidden hands shaking slightly. He's right, Bruno said. Going after the Supreme is suicide. Stronger people than you have tried. They're either dead or contenders now. What makes you any different? Hey, Tudel said. Skipper smirked wearily. I almost said skirmed. What does skirmed mean?
Ooh.
You were an agent for the UAP once upon a time. Don't tell you never considered how much easier your life would be if the Supreme just died. If that whole house of cards just came tumbling down. If I ever did, Bruno replied, it would have been a fantasy. Even if the Supreme died, they'd just find a new one. Even the guy who killed him was the winner of the Dawn contest. The best result you could hope for is taking his job, and I don't think that's what you want. Skipper tapped a finger against his nose knowingly. Well, I got a plan in mind for the aftermath, Mr. Dell said. Don't you worry about that. And what does this have to do with me? Dragon spoke up again. The older man rose back up into a sitting position, fingers knitted together in his lap as he took a deep breath. When he explained his plan with Bruno, it had the excitement of a child talking about his toys, but now that he's been quizzed on specifics, his age seemed to settle on his shoulders like a heavy weight. He seemed unsure of how to begin, but eventually he spoke again. In Supreme Embassy space, there's a device. Dragon gulped. A weapon? Was that how he intended to kill the Supreme? Skipper shook his head. Nah, it's more of a card that'll force the Supreme into the kind of confrontation I want. Make me fight on my terms, not his. If I'm able to do that, I know for sure I can finish him. On what basis? Dragon raised an eyebrow. There's undeniable confidence here, but he had no clue where it was coming from. A smirk spread across Skipper's lips. Almost managed it last time, he muttered. This time I can get it right. 100%. And again, Dragon said, anger beginning to rush to his head as he realised Skipper was swerving the topic away once again. What does this have to do with me? Skipper wiped the smirk off his mouth. This device, he said, hands gesturing vaguely as he explained. I can't tell you exactly what it is, but it was built by the Gene Tyrants, operable only by themselves and the conscience they created to serve them. Dragon shook his head. If all you needed was a conscience, you could hire one. We're not exactly an endangered species. Ain't that simple. Yeah, well, I need work, and I need conscience for very specific ways of thinking. Mental architecture, it's called. And those ways of thinking don't exist anymore because the world has changed, you get me?
Wait, what does he mean by the mental architecture?
Like the way you think, like your personal philosophies and shit.
Oh, okay.
But those ways of thinking don't exist anymore because the world has changed, you get me? So the next best thing is to grab a ton of conscience with different ways of thinking, point them at the device, and use the average between them to mimic what we need. What we need.
Oh, so Dragon's like one of a bunch, basically. Oh, that sucks for Dragon.
Skipper had partners in this endeavour then. People would be bringing other conscience to this device to unlock it so he could kill the Supreme. So the conscience are a key to a lock, Dragon muttered. Is that right? Skipper frowned. Kinda makes it sound a little cold and dehumanizing if you say it that way, but yeah, kinda. Pretty good plan, yeah? You're insane, said Dragon. Bruno nodded in agreement, and maybe Serena too, judging by the sudden acceleration and nodding speed. Clearly this was the first time they were hearing the specifics of this plan too. Well, of course I'm crazy, Mr. Hadrian, said Skipper, lounging back on his rock as if it was a couch. I live in a crazy world, yeah? The kind of world where people either just stomp over others just because they're weaker or less capable or less worthy. The guy who can stomp the hardest gets treated like a god. He leaned forward suddenly, eyes intense. You don't think that's crazy, Dragon? All the good humour had left Skipper's voice, replaced with an honest and grim passion. His gaze burned into Dragon as if daring him to argue, and all Dragon could really do was look away. So that's it then, he muttered. You see yourself as the Supremacy's big enemy? The humour returned to Skipper's face and he lounged back again. Mr. Hadrian, I'm a pal to anyone who opposes the Supremacy. Anyone at all, he said, scratching his head. To anyone else, though? Yeah, I guess I am their enemy. Ruth braced herself for his trap as she followed Greener through the woods. This is the perfect situation for one, after all. They'd been walking for hours, the sound of that massive guardian entity long since having faded into the night. A full dark reigned above them. interrupted only by the occasional pinprick of a star peering down. It took most of Ruth's brain power just to avoid tripping on the roots that lay invisible in the ground below. And because of that, she bumped right into Grainer's back as the other woman stopped. "Hey," Ruth said, eyes narrowing behind a skeleton mask. "Where have we stopped?" Here it came. A bomb prepared in advance, perhaps, to blow her to smithereens, or guardian entities ready to burst out the ground and drag her down to a premature grave. Some kind of trap. Maybe even a
Oh my god, Vietnam Aetheral space. They're just hiding in the trees.
Maybe even a post to strap a whipped corpse to. The answer that met her, however, wasn't any of those. "Most likely," croaked a deep voice from the darkness. "She has stopped because you have arrived." Ruth turned to face the voice and watched as its owner stepped out the shadows. An old man dressed in a cloak of leaves and branches, only the tiniest sliver of his wrinkled face visible in the gap between his gargantuan hat and his cowl. A single brown eye, alert, stared out at her from within the ensemble. The darkness shifted. Ruth had thought she'd been alert, but clearly that was not the case. If she'd been alert, she would surely have noticed this. The darkness that surrounded her was not night. It was people. Countless people, clad in camouflage, watching her silently, a legion of shadows. The old brown eye didn't so much as blink. "Welcome, brave girl," it said, "to the real resistance."
Mic drop. Man, do you think Skipper, he's gonna have gathered all the friends from all his misadventures to come unlock the device? It's like, do you remember that Cogitate we met in Yaslov? No, I don't. Oh, there was one there. You just didn't see him.
You didn't meet him, I did. Off camera.
You don't know my Cogitate friends. They go to another planet.
I collected all 180 Cogitate stars.
Pokemon! Oh, yay. Alright, I'm very interested to see where this goes, what this device is, and what Skipper's plan exactly is. The fact that they mentioned Gene Tyrants, though, makes me think it's not going to be the Cogitants that get it working, it's going to be Marie in some way, if they ever make amends with Musashi and Marie. I'm very curious to see how that goes, though. But at least we finally know what the plan is, and why Dragon is so important. It would have been so funny if he was like, "I need someone to hack this device." Dragon was like, "Well, I never
Funny
took a
story.
computer class. You're useless to me."
It says on your file that you're a master hacker. Yeah, I forged that.
No. Alright, well, good chapter. Very excited to see what the real Resistance has planning. I'm thinking this is gearing up to be another chapter 3 in terms of size, but who knows. Oh wait, no, we're at 19, not 29. I'm stupid.
No worries. But yes,
Alright,
5.19, the other half.
Yeah. Bye, guys.
Bye.